understands that he or she must use volatility and would rather pay $40,000 for the Lexus than $60,000 for the Lexus, as a consequence of volatility, you will do well.
You have to be cognizant of the fact that when you have money in a bank, you have a risky investment. Most people don't think of it that way, but certainly I do.
Money in the bank, that's not a positive anymore the way it once was.
No, it's not a positive.
And your answer is go physical. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Well, I think there's very few things that you can buy in the kind of financial and economic setup we have. And we've talked about the economic setup. I mean, are we going into a recession? Are we going into a depression? Mm-hmm. How do you survive in a situation like that? And the most obvious thing is to own precious metals related investments, whether it's physical bullion or gold and silver stocks. I mean, people can make a case for owning productive farmland, things like that. Things that are absolutely necessary in the kind of economic environment we see. So that's why it's easier for people to invest in gold and silver, and that's why I push people to do that.
Now, we saw in 2008, big upset, a lot of fear. You'd think that gold would spike because of the panic in the streets, but gold dropped. Yeah. Because relating to what you were saying before, you can't sell anything. Where's the asset you can sell? People sold gold. Yeah. Do you think that the potential for that to happen is there again? Can we see gold and silver drop even when they should go up? Will we, or have we already washed that out of the system? Where are we at now?
Sure. Well, as you know, we see it all the time. We see it just recently in the silver and gold prices. And I believe that because the powers that be, the central banks and governments, try to keep people believing in the framework, the economic framework they have, I believe they are active in these markets from time to time. So you can never draw a correlation. Gold went up because of this. Mm-hmm. And so whenever it gets a little bit closer to the ultimate crisis, I actually believe that forces are put at work that can move the prices down. And it's been talked to that this is what's happened recently. I believe it totally, because the situation just gets worse every day, but the price of gold goes down, and it absolutely makes no sense. Are we going to have an 08 repeat in terms of the share prices? The one unusual thing that happened in 08 was that the silver price really crashed and went from $21 to something like $9. As you know, there's ongoing lawsuits against various firms, JP Morgan and HSBC, being involved in a manipulation of the price of silver down. I would expect that if there was a proper investigation, they might determine that that was the case. Had that not happened, I think the market would have acted very differently. Two, even though the market went down dramatically in share prices, within 15 months, they came barreling back, and of course gold was up that year. Gold was up every year subsequently. The reason to own gold never changed. So I think, having seen it once, I don't think we'll see that same play out that we had then. There's been recent evidence of difference in the market. And I forget the date, but I think it was something like August 10th when the Dow was down 500 points. And the UE gold index went up 4%. So we had something like a 900 basis points difference between the two. And I thought, oh my God, it's like a eureka moment where the gold stocks disassociated themselves from the stock market. We had another example of that this last Friday, where the market was down something like 230 points and the UE index went up. We see more and more examples of it all the time, where finally people are realizing that gold stocks are different from regular stocks. So I don't think we'll see the same carnage, although we always see raids on the gold and silver prices by the paper sellers that far outnumber the real buyers, the physical buyers. But if you wait it out and the physical buyers come through, which it looks like they're going to come through here, then everything will revert to norm again.
Okay, you said this morning that the last decade, 2000 to 2010, was the decade of gold, and the upcoming one is the decade of silver. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure.
If all these things happen, gold should still go up.
Oh yeah, I have no doubt that gold's going up. Don't get me wrong. I think it's going up. I just think, based on the evidence that we all see of the massive amount of silver buying vis-a-vis gold, where people are almost putting as many dollars into silver as putting into gold. but the price is 50 times different, but the same amount of money is going in. And the availability for investment is in a ratio of about, there's 20 times more gold in dollars to buy than there is in silver dollars to buy for investment, yet the money's going in at 1-to-1. Well, I know as kind of a mathematician or a logician, that cannot carry on. Something's going to give here. So that's why I think the silver price in the next decade will do better. Not something I spoke to in the talk, but something that people should have in the back of their minds. I believe that gold, the market has determined that gold is the reserve currency today. You can tell it's outperformed everything by a wide margin,
Right.
not even close to being comparable to anything. And people do talk about backing currencies with gold. Well, if they back currencies with gold, you need a monetary item that's in smaller quantities,
Right.
which has to be silver. And can you imagine the physical demand for silver if we had to reintroduce silver as a
Coinage.
currency? It would
Yeah.
be unbelievable. So I think that's another more macro long-term thing that would suggest that
Sure.
in this decade, should we ultimately collapse the financial system and say we got to back the currency with something real, that then silver would have.
That's very interesting. So a lot of people like to talk about the gold-silver ratio and how it's out of whack, but you're not talking about ratios. You're just looking at the facts of reality facing these
Right.
supply and demand.
Just the buying. I mean,
Yeah.
and I always say, nobody's making these people buying it. They're just buying it. And if people want to keep buying it on a 1-to-1 ratio, the price could not, stay at 50-to-1. There's no way.
And owning the stocks versus owning the metals. There's a perception out there that, well, we have these ETFs now, and so maybe the stocks aren't going to do it this time around. This market will be different. If people just buy the ETFs, it's easy. Do you subscribe to that, or do you think the stocks will still give leverage to the commodities?
I would say right now I'm in the camp that believes that the precious metal stocks are getting so cheap that they should outperform the metals here. Like they are incredibly inexpensive on any metric you want to use, and compared to any industry you want to compare to. Where the outlook for gold and silver is likely that the price goes up. The outlook for almost any other commodities is that the price goes down, and yet we're trading at very low multiples of earnings. We haven't even seen the earnings power of these companies at these prices yet because there haven't been that many reporting periods. So personally, I've sold gold to buy gold stocks and silver stocks.
Okay.
I've not yet sold silver to buy silver stocks, but I think the precious metal stocks are in a way better situation today than they were before, because the market has not discounted gold having gone up to 1,600 or 1,900, which it was recently.